Yeah, one of you guys will need to sign me. Okay. Yeah, okay. Right there, Craig. I don't think I need this, actually. I suspect I could deliver this. You guys want to stand or sit, or that's up to you? Ileana, you're welcome to sit, if you like. You guys can sit as well, by the way. Good evening, everybody. Sorry to be a few minutes late, but I will, at the end of the day, I think we're all going to say that it was entirely worth it. I'm incredibly proud in a few minutes to sign this budget. We would not be here without the partnership of the folks standing with me. I want to begin by saluting the Senate President to my left, Nick Scutari. There are very few people to my left, Nick.
Not sure I should be on the right.
Yeah, exactly. Speaker to my right, Craig Coughlin. Majority Leader, Senator Teresa Ruiz. Assembly Majority Leader Lou Greenwald. Budget Chairs Paul Sarlo and Ileana Pinto-Marin. Treasurer Liz Moyo. The entire legislators. Paul Moriarty is here. Annette Chiano, I'm told, is here somewhere. Annette, good to have you with us. And I also want to acknowledge our respective teams who have worked tirelessly, not just this week, but for months, and they'll still got a fair amount of work to do over the weekend. So we're all incredibly thankful for everyone's help in turning a proposed budget into a reality. We could spend the rest of the evening getting into the weeds of how everything stacks up in this budget, because there is a lot in here, but I don't want to, as they say, lose the forest for the trees. Instead, I want to focus on what those numbers mean for people's lives and how this budget will make a difference for the folks sitting around the kitchen table having hard conversations as prices rise. Everything in this budget is about growing and strengthening the middle class and providing more opportunity and more affordability for hard-working families. That is why, with this budget, we will have cut taxes 20 times for our working and middle-class families and seniors in our administration. 20 times. That's why, over the past 2 years, we committed historic levels of direct property tax relief, over $6 billion, to tackle one of the single greatest and longest-standing affordability challenges our state faces. But that is not all. This budget will also lower prescription drug costs for seniors, help hardworking families by expanding free pre-K for kids, create good-paying jobs by building a green economy and fighting climate change, expand mental health services so our kids can get the help they need, and build and preserve affordable housing so everyone has a place they can call home, help first-generation home buyers achieve the safety and security of owning a home, and so much more. It is important. Thank you, Seth. Thank you. Karen Elkus, could you slip Seth a 20 for me until I get back there? It is important to add that we accomplish all of this in a fiscally responsible way. This budget continues to fully deliver on our commitments to our pension payments, school funding, while at the same time maintaining not just a healthy surplus, but a record surplus. None of us up here has any desire to return to the bad old days before our time here, where the state could not fulfill its financial obligations. So clearly, there is a lot in this budget, but the bottom line is that this is a budget focused on the pocketbooks of our families. We all know that New Jersey is the best place in America to live and raise a family, and we are ensuring with this budget that it stays that way. A few months ago, when I first proposed this budget, I said it was a budget designed with a singular purpose: to continue building the next New Jersey, where every family can afford to make their American dream come true, where every child can see their opportunity in our common future, and where seniors can afford to retire and live with dignity. And today we are delivering on all of those promises. And again, I want to say one more time, thanks to the incredible partnership we enjoy with our legislature and the incredible leadership of the folks standing up with me. Now it is my honor to bring up to the podium the great State Senate President, Nick Scutari. Nick?
Thank you, Governor, and I'll be brief. Obviously, we've got a lot of people that want to say a few words on this tremendous accomplishment today. One of the things I want to point out before I give the thank yous to all these incredible leaders up here is We had a singular purpose a year and a half ago when I took office, and with the partnership of the Speaker, to make sure that every decision that we made had to do with affordability. Affordability for the people of the state of New Jersey. I've heard this many times before. We don't need polling data to know that taxes are generally the #1 issue. And this budget reflects those important moral values. So first I want to thank our really tremendous senior leadership team, Majority Leader Teresa Ruiz and Budget Chairman Paul Sarlo, and of course my partner Craig Coughlin in the Assembly. We spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks, probably looking forward to a break.
I like you, man.
Thanks. But the Speaker will give you more details, but I want to congratulate him on his accomplishments with the Stay in J program. Tremendous accomplishment. Congratulations, Craig.
Thank you, man.
And from the Senate's perspective, record-breaking doubling of the energy receipts tax that's going to be going back to right to mayors and council members pursuant to a formula. So that's property tax relief in its purest form. I'm very, very pleased that $150 million will be going back to that fund this year. Thanks to our Senate partners and with the Speaker's input, we were able to accomplish that. All with keeping a record surplus of over $10 billion. And that was one of the things that the governor wanted to make sure that we would be in a good financial place this year with rating agencies, and we're absolutely in a great place next year to continue to receive those upgrades. So there's a lot in here that people can be really proud of in a responsible way, and we all worked in collaboration with each other, and that's why we got things done, because we have a healthy trust. We certainly work hard for the values that we believe in, but we then, in the end of the day, come together. So I just want to congratulate all the members up here, all the staff that worked so hard in the Senate Majority Office. They really did an amazing job. So on behalf of the Senate, I want to say congratulations to the Governor, the Speaker, and everybody up here on a job well done. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Good job, buddy. Thank you, Nick, and again, thanks for your great leadership and for leading on to get a budget as powerful as this one. Please help me welcome another great leader, the Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin.
All right, so I'm the detail guy. So this is a terrific budget, and let me first start off and thank everybody who made this possible. You're looking at the leaders of this organization, but I want to take time to thank the staff members on the governor's staff, on the Senate staff, and my staff, who I got to see and work every day, hour after hour, problem after problem, challenge after challenge. Everything was accomplished, and it was done because of their caring commitment and their desire to make sure we did something good and be meaningful. So Ileana and Lou and Seth and Dan and everyone who worked so hard, Patrick, thank you for that. This is really a good budget. It is something that budgets are statements of priorities, and I'm happy to be judged by the priorities set forth in this budget. Now, I think in fact, it is so important that we ought to all take a look at it. So everybody go online, pull it up. We'll start on page 2, and we'll work through all of the accomplishments. But if we did, we'd be here all night. Because the things that are included in this budget are the things that matter to the people of New Jersey. This is another year of expanding property tax relief to people. We did a tremendous job last year in Anchor, bringing $2 billion worth of property tax relief. We expanded that now for seniors because of the great cooperation of the governor and the Senate president. We recognize that we want people to stay in the state of New Jersey. And I'm not going to, I think the details have all been talked around, but the truth of the matter is, for people over 65 making less than $500,000 a year, 90% of seniors, homeowners in that place, are going to have their property taxes cut in half, and that's going to be a reason for them to stay and to bring their continued talents in terms of volunteering in their community, caring about the community they love, being with the family that they love. That is something that they're going to be able to do. And if that was all that this budget did, that would be probably something we all ought to be proud of. But when we talk about record investments in education, we talk about fulfilling our obligation to make pension payments for the third year in a row at the full rate, ahead of schedule, because those things are important, and because those things bring the financial stability that the governor has led so excellent, so brilliantly, and that we have been part and parcel of in its success, which means that we are able to say to the people of New Jersey, we're in the best financial shape we've ever been in, and we are prepared for what the future may bring. We're going to face some challenges in terms of revenue, but because of that stewardship and because of that commitment, commitment to making sure that we're prepared for the future. New Jersey's in the best place it's ever been. And this budget does nothing but make that even better. We recognize that there's going to be those challenges, but still, yet and again, we're able to accomplish things like investments in hospitals, investment in higher education facilities. The list goes on and on of the things that are really reflective of the priorities, not just of this group of people, but of the people of New Jersey, the things that they talk about at their kitchen tables day after day, the things that are important to them in terms of raising their families and recognizing and building on the fact that, as the governor points out, that this has been recognized time and again as the best place to live, the best place to raise a family. I think it's now the best place to be a senior. And we all talk about senior freeze increases and anchor payments over the course of the next year. What we've accomplished in this budget is something that New Jerseyans ought to be able to look at and say, boy, they got it right. And I'm so proud of the work that we have done here. I'm proud of the people I have the privilege of working with each and every day. I thank everybody for coming out, and I look forward to continuing to do that kind of work that moves New Jersey forward, that makes us the envy of the nation, because we lead in so many ways. I'll give you a perfect example. One of the things I care about, as most of you know, is food insecurity. What we talk about and what we do are the things that other states talk about in aspirational terms. We talk about them as being in the rearview mirror and what's next. And so we're going to continue those kind of things because that's what matters. That's what makes New Jersey so great. And I was privileged to be part of this, and thank you all for coming out. Thank you to everybody here who made that possible. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig, and thank you for your leadership. We have a murderer's row of great leaders here. Next up to bat is the Senate Majority Leader. Please help me welcome Senator Teresa Ruiz.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. Thank you. And so I too will take a moment just to thank Tim, Liz, and Dan on the Senate Majority side, to Seth and to Patrick and Dan on that side. There's a lot of Dans in this mix. For dealing with the balance of individuals and really supporting what happens in this budget. I think you oftentimes hear what gets discussed around kitchen tables. So I will tell you a different story. If you sit on the porch with my mother, right, el balcón, for anybody who knows what that is, and you sat with her and you asked her what would be your priorities or what do you think would be important for government to stand up for, and went through several following things. In a week where we saw the Supreme Court, just anyone who has the news break over and over again, come out with decisions that went against precisely what this budget in New Jersey today stands for, you recognize that New Jersey is a warrior in a space for protecting human rights and preserving families' interests in improving the quality of life. So if you sit on the balcón with my mother and you say to her, did you make inroads and would you support the opportunity to make sure that women have access to health care? And she would say yes, and I would say the state budget, check. That we're making investments in our public schools to be sure that regardless as to what zip code you live, that we're living up to the commitment of fulfilling that promise of getting to 100%. Check. That you're making investments in public safety. Check. That you're making investments in downtowns where she remembers in her early stages of coming into the city of Newark, in places that were deemed like with high esteem, that we're giving that commitment through policy and funding to reinvigorate corridors that haven't seen livelihood in years. Check. That we are protecting the most vulnerable. That we're understanding that the opportunities that she and my dad had to be a first-time home buyer in a ward where they were the only Puerto Ricans who were purchasing a home, that this budget does precisely that. Check. That what we did today, even though there may have been hiccups and some stumbling, and that it's easy to, when you're not responsible for something, to sit back and poke in the spaces where you see vacancy. But it's much harder to stand up and support things and to be sure that we have a fulfillment of a commitment to ensure that in the years to come, if in fact there's an economic downturn, that New Jersey will be established to precisely protect vulnerabilities in those spaces. And yet in all those categories, we can hit check, 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 check again. So I will say to you today, this budget does precisely that. With the commitment of my Senate President, the Speaker, my budget chair, and my colleague in the district, they recognized one thing. We don't have to agree on every single policy. We don't have to get to a score sheet on day one, but we recognize fundamentally precisely what this country stands for. That what we want to do today is leave tomorrow and the next generation in a better place than where we are today and what we've experienced. And this New Jersey state budget that will get signed today will do precisely that. To the governor and his administration, to his chief of staff, and to his deputies who were alongside this whole process, thank you for your commitment to this as well. And to everyone who is listening today, you know, this isn't easy. It's never easy when you're trying to stretch the dollar, when you're doing the right thing, when you're standing up for the most vulnerable, when you're talking about things that people don't want to discuss. I will point to you on any given moment in this budget where we go against the grain, where people find it easy to poke fun, create jokes, or say it's okay not to fulfill a commitment because you don't believe in same-sex marriage, or that you don't have to stand up for affirmative action. Infrastructure improvement for higher ed institutions, community colleges, the list is long and going. And I will say that I am proud to have been part of that process, and I am grateful for everyone who got us here today.
That was awesome. Thank you, Teresa. And here's to your mom, another great leader and a friend of almost 20 years. Please help me welcome the Assembly Majority Leader, Lou Greenwald.
Thank you, everybody. First time I met Governor Murphy, he was just Phil Murphy. He was a simple, humble banker who came in to work with us and advised me as a member of the state legislature and the chair of the budget committee at the time about the problems we were facing with our pension. And he was very patient with me because it was not my area of expertise, had lots of questions. And he worked on a report that was the foundation of what was ultimately pension reform. And it said a lot to me that not just was he willing to spend the time with the immense success that he had had personally to talk to someone like me about making a difference, and that it was really a foundational moment for us as a government to get this right. When he became governor, it was a primary principal piece of what we would do as a budget. After we worked on that report, and I met with candidate Murphy at that point, we had a wonderful dinner. Very generous of him to spend time to show respect, to come and meet with me in South Jersey and talk about policy issues that he should be talking about on the campaign that we thought were important. And at that dinner, he turned to me and he said, Lou, if there was one thing that you could do, what would you want to fix in New Jersey? And I said, Governor, the property tax crisis, I watch it affect senior citizens. When I go knock on doors and you see a house with a for sale sign on it, it is inevitably someone that has given up and has said it is enough. And more often than not, it was a family whose children had graduated from the high school systems in our state and said, I can't afford to live here anymore. And he listened, and he was compassionate, and he understood it. Budgets are about our priorities. And this budget shows that the Democratic Party, while not only fiscally responsible, is compassionate. And when my friend, and he is my friend first, our Speaker, Craig Coughlin, called me and said, Lou, I've heard you talk forever about property taxes. I have this idea. I think we can do it. I want you to work on this with me. I said, Craig, sign me up. And a lot of people came to the table and wanted to find solutions to this problem, because everyone who is in elected office, you heard it from the Senate President today, we all know property taxes are an issue. But solving it and having the courage to address it is the difference. And we did it, but we had wonderful people like George Helmy that sat with us tirelessly at the table to make sure that we got it right. This budget, a lot of people on the other side of the aisle were critical and talked about how we're spending billions of dollars more than 6 years ago. We are. Because in the last administration, they had a $400 million surplus, and we have a $10.2 billion surplus. And to Senator Ruiz's point, that's a check. Because by doing that, financial markets have responded and given us numerous financial upgrades, one over another, where in the last administration we had 16 financial downgrades. We are spending 33% more than we did 6 years ago in public education. That is billions of dollars. And those billions of dollars have resulted in the #1 public education system in the country 3 years in a row, which is a return on our investment. And whether it is the foundational components of property tax relief with the anchor program, the senior property tax freeze, and now through the leadership of my friend Speaker Coughlin, and the issue around stay in New Jersey, as the governor likes to say, the next New Jersey, our grandparents will have the opportunity to watch our next generation, their grandchildren, close by, achieve greatness, and take this state to the next level. I just want to finish with this. In 1977, when I was 9 years old, my mother was elected the first woman mayor of Cherry Hill Township. And in her inaugural address, she talked about the crushing burden of property taxes and her fear that her parents would not be able to remain in this state and watch their grandchildren grow up. Through my friends, Phil Murphy and Craig Coughlin and the leadership team up here, my mother's promise is a reality today. I'm very proud to be a part of that. Thank you very much.
God bless you. That was very powerful, Lou, and your mom was a great mayor, and God rest her soul. There were many consequential committees in both chambers, but on June 30th, there is no more consequential committee than the budget committees. Please help me welcome, first up, the chair of the Senate Budget Committee, a great chair and friend, Paul Sarlo.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you to all my colleagues who are up here. It's been a long 2 weeks, tiring 2 weeks, emotional 2 weeks, but here we are today. I want to thank all the members of the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee on both sides of the aisle. we have a really terrific committee. We challenge each other, we collaborate with one another, we push each other, but at the end of the day, it makes us all better members of that committee. And I truly believe every member of the legislature should do a tour of duty on the Budget Committee, because you really have the opportunity to learn what state government is about. Every aspect of state government comes through the Budget Committee. This is my 14th year as budget chair, and I've stood up here for over the many years with a lot of different principals who would focus in on one issue and one issue only. And those who have worked with me in the past know I'm quite practical and quite direct. Today we talk about fiscal responsibility, because in those years you would hear somebody talk about significant pension contribution, or significant education funding, or surplus, or transformational strategic investments. Today we talk about all of them combined in one document. All of them combined in one document. Record surplus, to make sure we're ready if the economy takes that correction that all the economists are talking about. Record pension investment, record education funding, and to those who want to criticize, transformational strategic investments, brick and mortar in our communities, in our colleges, in our hospitals, that help lead to not only a more affordable state, but a better state, better quality of life for all of us. So today I talk about fiscal responsibility. We've done a lot, and we're going to walk out of here with a $10 billion plus surplus. We're being fiscally responsible. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, the members of this great legislative team. I'm very proud of what we have accomplished over the last 6 months. God bless.
And by the way, this was not just any week for the Sarlo family. This was a big deal week in addition to the budget, far more profoundly, if I may say, Paul, that his son started at the United States Naval Academy, class of 2027. No higher or better calling than that, for sure. She and I were hanging out last Sunday in the East Ward of Newark. She's a star chair. Please help me welcome the Assembly Budget Committee Chair, Ileana Pintor-Marin.
Liz, I don't know, you and I are going to run out of things to say, because I just want to say thank you, everyone, for being here. I love everyone, as I said even last year, and I continue to say this at the end of every year of the budget process. But I'm really happy that I don't have to see a lot of you throughout the summer. We have a very important, and I think we're very honored as chair of the Budget Committee with my counterpart, Paul Sarlo. You know, you really develop special relationships with your own committee on your side of the aisle, but also the other side of the aisle. And, you joke and you challenge each other, but what I love about the state of New Jersey, Governor, and I think you would realize that, is the respect that I think Paul has on his side and I have on my side, because I think that helps us really work together. I want to thank the governor's office, his chief of staff, and everyone else who worked on the budget. Liz, you and Deputy Treasurer Aaron Binder. Aaron, I know we were much better. You can always come back if you want to. But with Treasury, Senator Sarlo, Majority Leader Ruiz, who's my senator, Senate President, and Majority Leader Greenwald. And I left Speaker Coughlin out for a reason temporarily, because, he gave me the honor of being the chair of budget. But one of the things that I've learned the most about him, we're very similar and we're very different, is the fact that he is very thoughtful. He's very thorough. And when he puts his mind to something, he's going to figure out how to get it done. I applaud you, because there was a lot of naysayers around your plan and bringing relief and extending it to seniors. But I'm so proud of you, because I know how hard you worked the last couple of weeks. I know the challenges that you had, but you were able to do it, and you set your mind to it. You were poised, and you showed who you really are and the person that you are. So congratulations, Speaker. I'm very proud of you. To our staff, to everyone that's here, Seth, all the Dans, and Patrick, and everyone from the Majority Office who worked tirelessly on this budget, to the Office of Legislative Services. We could not get everything done without you, and you guys are real, true heroes in helping us look good. Everyone talked about the great things that are in this budget, and I agree. And the big similarities that Paul and I have, everyone kind of has been downplaying the last couple of years about our fiscal prudency, about our credit ratings, about how important it is to have a surplus of over $8 billion, of what it is to have a pension payment. Just imagine all the money that we would free up if people would have just made their pension payments. $7 billion. That's a lot of money that we could have put towards school construction, or expansion of pre-K, or expansion of even kindergarten in some areas, if people would have just made the right decision. So Governor Murphy, congratulations on that, because you've really set us on a path that we have to do better, and we need to continue to be prudent in the things that we pick. There's so much in this budget that's good. Not everyone agrees on everything, and that's okay, because that's what makes New Jersey great and America great. But I know that when I go home tonight, finally, you're almost at peace, because you've done something that's for the better good. And when that outweighs everything else, I think nothing else matters. Just like Teresa and all of us talked about, and Lou, his mom, it's the same thing with my parents, right? It's hard. It's hard living in the state of New Jersey. We are an expensive state. So if every budget year we can figure out something to do to help people, whether you're in the lower lower middle class, upper middle class, or even those that have money. We are so fortunate to be in this state. We have so much to offer. So I really am proud today. I'm happy that the process is over, but I am very, very proud of the fact that all of us came together and we got it done. And we put all our differences aside, and we concentrated on what was the most important thing, on how we can help others when we leave the State House today. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Lorena. Thank you. Several folks have mentioned the bipartisan respect, which I think is a hallmark of this state. It should be noted in both chambers, this budget passed with, among other votes, Republican votes in each chamber. Last but certainly not least, she's a former legislator. We're in her home county. She's been an extraordinary treasurer. This is her 7th budget. 6 years, Liz, but 7 budgets because of the pandemic. Please help me welcome our great treasurer, Liz Moyo.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm one person standing here, but I'm representing the 3,000 or so people in Treasury who are charged with managing this budget each and every day, especially the members of the Office of Management and Budget and the Office of Revenue and Economic Analysis. And I'd like to give a shout out to Tariq Shabazz, who is the new director at OMB, who has been in that position for mere weeks and helped get this budget across the finish line. So I think he might have gone home to bed finally, but he and his whole team there, and I know I've got some of my leadership team here, Aaron Binder, Joanne Povia, Andrea Spalla, Daryl Isherwood, and Melinda Caliendo are here. I think Joelle's here. We have a whole bunch from Treasury. You know, budget signing day, I've said this before, is always a big day. But for Treasury, managing this budget is a 365-day-a-year job, and we'll start again next week to wrap this budget up and think about FY25. So I want to thank the budget chairs while I have the opportunity, two great budget chairs, and I'd like to thank the Speaker and Senate President for having these two great leaders in these positions, in these committees, and their committees. We appear, obviously, several times every year before the committees, our Treasury team. It's always collegial, respectful, never dull, and interesting questions, interesting back and forth. And so on behalf of my team and all my colleagues on the Cabinet who appear before you throughout the spring, I want to thank the budget teams, your staff, OLS, which has been great to work with also. They say it's a budget is a statement of values. This budget, obviously fiscal prudence with another record pension payment. Eliana mentioned, you know, think about what we would have saved if we had made the pension payment. We think about that every day in Treasury. We keep a tally. This year we would have, if we'd paid the full payment for the past 25 plus years, our pension payment would have been $1 billion instead of over $7 billion. So this has been not easy, as the governor will be the first to say, but it's been important work, and I'm so proud to be part of the governor's team and his front office team. But as the clock is ticking, I know Treasury, which I started the speech off with, is really getting worried that we're not going to make the midnight deadline. So thank you all, and I appreciate everybody being here and the support.
So did I. Great minds think alike. I'm not kidding you. Eat with our arms behind one of our neighbors, mine with Lou and Nick with Teresa. We each just looked at our watches to make sure we were okay. This is not related to the budget, but a big deal also happened today, and that is by a unanimous vote. And Nick, I salute you and your colleagues and Paul and Teresa in the Senate. You guys voted through Michael Noriega to be an Associate Justice of the New Jersey Supreme Court. So congratulations. Amen. Big day for the home team. We'll take a couple of questions only in the interest of the hour. Anybody? Very happy to skip that. Daniel.
Great budget, no questions.
Governor, the budget fund legislature presented you includes an extra $1.2 billion in add-ons. How much of that, if any, do you plan to line item veto? And if not, why after budget study?
Yeah, I've already done the line item. Where's Paramel? We've already done the line items, and none of those will be vetoed. The line items that we did were duplications or mistakes. What you have to understand is that that's a version of what happens every year. A lot of those are one-time expenditures. We think there's a total of about $1 billion, Dennis, of one-time expenditures in this budget. And we also think that this is, I mentioned this is bipartisan votes got this budget passed. It's also bipartisan initiatives. And they're really, really, when you dig in, and I encourage you all to do that as soon as you can, there are some extraordinary investments that are being made. As I mentioned, many of them are one-time investments. And we each, listen, this is a compromise. We go back and forth. But this is literally a game-changing budget. I can't say enough good things about it. Joey.
Obviously, there were a few procedural headaches that kind of led up today.
I missed that.
Is there anything left to solve? Are there any
There is.
pieces still needed to be made?
peace in the Korean Peninsula, but beyond that, no. We've solved the riddles. I think I don't want to speak for you guys, but you don't need to come back in session. Thank you. Well, we got a bunch of bills today, so we're chopping through them. I think we've signed a ton already today. We delivered some CV concurrences today. There are still bills that we're going to have to chop through, but again, overwhelmingly, the budget and all the bills are baked collectively by the folks up here. It's rare that somebody goes off on their own and does something without telling the other chamber or without working with us, and we do the same. Brent, do you have something?
Yeah, what do you say to critics who say this is a sign that we should do this a lot earlier next year instead of, with all the glitches that happened? And two, do we now have a price tag on what the Rutgers deal for the strike, getting strike costs?
Read the budget, Brent. You have to. There's a higher ed expenditures are in there, and you'll see that, and our guys can go through and give you the more specific answer. I'd say this. Most importantly, this is an incredible product. So I think everybody out there, particularly if you're at a kitchen table, you're a middle-class family, you're a working family, you're a senior, focus on what this does for you. It is a game changer. And it's not the only budget we've ever done that's a game changer, but this one, I think, folks, is a particular game changer, and we do it in a responsible way. Secondly, we do focus on the last few days, and I suspect I speak for all of us, that we'll, as we always do, we'll do a postmortem and figure out if there's a way to do this at the very end in a little bit more of a smoother fashion. But I say now, as chair of the National Governors Association, I have visibility into the process in every American state in terms of how budgets are done. If you look at the totality of our process, governor's budget message in late February, by the way, 95% of the budget was expressed in late February. That's a point that needs to be said. And then, as Liz said, the very respectful, tough, fair, respectful, back and forth committee hearings, sidebar conversations, going around the state, having open discussions. In the totality, I think we do it really well. But most importantly, it's a great, great game-changing budget. Nikita, last one for you. Come on down.
Well, I mean, I think we're going to release them in the same time frame that we have always released them, Nikita. As you know, we put these things together over the course of the last several days, and we'll put them out as timely as we possibly can, as we did last year and tried to do every time. So.
I don't have anything to add on that. I've been here for 20 years. This is early for what we used to do.
Everybody good? Happy 4th of July. God bless America. I'm going to sign this out, invite Paul and Annette. I don't have pens for you, but if you want to come up and stand with us, we'd be honored to have you. Thank you all. Do the money shot without my eyeglasses here. Okay. I am signing the budget. Quick! First pen, Senate President Nick Scuteri. Congratulations. Spread these over. Craig, don't be offended. I'm skipping you for a good reason. Okay. All right? Trust me. I'll come back and tell you what that is in a minute. Okay. Senate Majority Leader, Senator Teresa Ruiz. Congratulations. Assembly Majority Leader, Lou Greenwald. Senate Budget Chair Paul Sarlo. Assembly Budget Chair Ileana Pintor-Marin. Okay, we have two pieces of business. That ends the first piece of business. This budget is now the law of the land. Okay, second piece of business, which is why I skipped you. This is Assembly Bill number 1, sponsored by, at the top of the masthead, Craig Coughlin and many others, including Paul Moriarty, Lou Greenwald, and a whole cast of Nick Scutari. I don't know why I have him sitting here. Nick Scutari, to my left, I don't know. And this is Stay NJ, which is a game changer for senior citizens in our state. It's a historic property tax relief. It's done in a responsible way. It's only in New Jersey. Does this exist anywhere in America? And the guy who gets the pen for this one, because he's the brainchild, he's the person who was the first one to sort of war game and put this together, is the Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin. We can't forget our extraordinary treasurer, Liz Moyo. Liz? This is, Darren, can I give this to you? Yeah. This is for a friend. That'll be our secret, all right? A whole lot of that. And then I got one more. I don't know where I or we would be without him. George Helmy. Fiscal 2024 budget and Stay NJ are both the law of the land. Easy now.
You're excited.
Everybody good? Mary Ann? All right, well, thank you, everybody. Have a great 4th of July.